Cleveland, they're not giving up. 700 marched to dethrone a university president they consider a racist. A Coast Guard cutter comes to the rescue of a tug lodged in Lake Erie ice. The Fed dishes out money for police officers, but is it going to the right places? And the very latest in the attempts to solve the baseball strike. 19 News is coming up next.
He says he has a special message. The city says it doesn't want to hear it.
Bambi's everyone's favorite, but it may be time for the buck to make way for the buckshot.
And just how tough is it to keep your streets clean? We have the information you need right now.
From Cleveland Television News, this is 19 News at 11.
He's seen our works, he's seen our efforts, and we can't understand why the mayor would take this position and take this stand. Other than that, he is being controlled or being directed by someone else.
Sounds like a fight brewing, and it is. Soon to take place in a courtroom. Good evening, I'm Emmett Miller.
And I'm Denise DeFalo. The city of Cleveland is facing a lawsuit tonight. It's accused of violating the Nation of Islam's civil rights. The problem? Minister Louis Farrakhan's desire to come to Cleveland and address an audience filled only with African-American men. Islam leaders argue because the city granted Christian crusader Reverend Billy Graham a permit to speak to same-sex crowds at Public Hall last year, they should be given the same opportunity. And not because they want to play copycat. It's part of Minister Farrakhan's mission to tailor exclusively for the different sexes, although Farrakhan often finds himself in the middle of some kind of controversy. His message to the black community has remained constant. He speaks of self-empowerment and keeping pride in the community. So now we're wondering, is it the message or the messenger? 19 News tried all day to get a comment from City Hall. No luck. Emmett picks up the story from there.
I'm standing with Chief Correspondent Dave Barker in the Reporter Center. Dave's been looking into the history of the Nation of Islam.
Well, Emmett, as institutions go, the Muslims are fairly new. Now, what we're going to do tonight is put aside all the controversy surrounding this group. What we're going to do is look from the inside on how the Nation of Islam was founded and how it operates right here in Cleveland. We begin at ground level. Well, actually, street level.
Check it out, check it out. Final call paper, just $1. We got about it not, just $1, good brother.
25-year-old brother Corey X spends up to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, spreading the news of the Nation of Islam.
The paper's just $1.
And selling cologne oils.
They range in price from $2 to $10. Final call, check it out, check it out.
Corey X makes less than $10,000 a year doing this, yet he says he could do nothing else. He also says most people don't understand that the message of the Muslims is not against whites, but for the black community. Probably the biggest misconception in the Anglo community is you folks are all uptight. Right. It's a militant organization.
Right.
Is it?
Well, when you teach militant, it is militant, but militant in the sense of as far as discipline, you know, and because we as black people, especially particularly black men, we need discipline, you know, because we're doing any and everything, and what we're doing in our lifestyle is killing us.
It was Elijah Muhammad who founded the Nation of Islam back in 1930 here in the U.S. Malcolm X became a major player in 1955, and Louis Farrakhan came to power in 1977.
Holocaust of black people was 100 times worse than the Holocaust of Jews.
These kinds of fiery statements from Farrakhan only stoke the fires of controversy surrounding the Muslims. Cleveland members admit that their leader's words may help create misconceptions about their group. Perhaps the biggest misconception about the Muslims deals with their very foundation. Is it a religion? Well, no. It's a nation. It's a way of life, and borrows from many different faiths, taking lessons from the Muslim, Christian, and yes, even the Jewish faith. As for the controversy of Muslim men meetings only, local members say yes, they have them. But there's also meetings just for women. And if there is a prominence of men in the organization, it only reflects the emergency facing them.
We see a vast majority of young black men are wasting away in the prisons, and what we are losing is the cream of the crop.
Woo, final call. Read all about it. Just $1 donation. Check it out, good brother. Read all about it now.
And so a lot of misconceptions and movement about this organization as any high-profile group, of course.
All right, thank you very much, Dave. Pushing ahead. Words, only words, a simple misstatement, or blatant racism.
Our SATs for African Americans is 750. Do we set standards in the future so that we don't admit anybody with a national test? Or do we deal with a disadvantaged population that doesn't have that genetic, hereditary background
Students at Rutgers light a fire under the university president for his comments. We'll have that story in a moment. Now, back to Denise at the desk.
Well, it seems like everyone on Capitol Hill is getting into the game of trying to end the baseball strike. Today, Bob Dole and Newt Gingrich had a meeting with federal mediator William Usry. The Republicans are opposed to President Clinton's plan to intervene. They want both sides to return to the bargaining table.
Our bias is let's not do it. Get it done at the conference table. Get it done with a mediator on a voluntary basis.
The president took another stab at solving the strike today, proposing legislation to create a panel of independent arbitrators to settle the strike. A busy day in the O.J. Simpson trial, the man who discovered her body and the neighbor who found her dog both taking the stand. In an attempt to pinpoint the exact time of murder, Marcia Clark called Stephen Schwab, the neighbor who saw the dog with bloody paws, at about 10:55 that night.
The Dick Van Dyke Show ran from 10 to 10:30. I would walk my dog from 10:30 to 11, and at 11 o'clock I would come home and watch the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Another neighbor, Eva Stein, confirmed the time she heard the dog barking incessantly.
The barking seemed to be very, very persistent, nonstop, and very, very loud, and it actually kept me from falling back to sleep.
They also bickered in the courtroom over an angel pin prosecutor Marcia Clark was wearing in sympathy for Nicole. The judge agreed with the defense. She has to remove the pin.
A Garfield Heights man accused of killing 2 police officers during a high-speed chase was in court today, along with a twist to his story. Anthony Taylor was arraigned today. He pleaded not guilty of involuntary manslaughter in the death of the officers. But he's in even more trouble now. Out on bond, he was arrested by Cleveland police last Friday for leading them on allegedly yet another high-speed chase across the city's east side. Taylor's back in jail. He's expected to be charged with drugs and weapons violations from the second incident.
It happens almost every year around this time. Northern Ohio's deer population multiplies and begins sending the environment into a tailspin. Well, as 19 News reporter Michael Shefsky found out, wildlife officials are demanding that the bucks stop here.
You see them everywhere, usually along the roads and jumping out in front of cars. At last count, there were more than 24,000 deer collisions on state highways, and nearly 1,000 of those were in Cuyahoga and Summit counties. As a result, helicopters were sent over breeding grounds for an aerial survey.
This is enough of a problem to be a public problem. It's like health problems. A lot of people have, you know, at what point does a particular disease become a public health problem as opposed to an individual problem?
Wildlife officials say today's survey could determine up to 70% of the actual population here. The Department of Natural Resources says Cuyahoga and Summit appear to have this problem because of restrictions on hunting and the number of roadways that are traveled.
In other counties that are more rural, we've seen the roadkill numbers actually decline slightly in some counties. Some counties continue to go up, but only at growth rates of less than 5%, whereas with Cuyahoga and Summit counties, the deer herd is increasing 20 to 30% per year.
The natural predators, like mountain lions and wolves, are gone from this area, but the Natural Resources Department hopes to use today's count to find more humane ways to control the deer population. In Peninsula, Michael Shesky, 19 News.
Now, we also hear there's a proposed plan for urban hunting zones in Cuyahoga and Summit County that would allow hunters to bag as many as 5 deer if at least 3 of them do not have antlers.
My, oh my, we're hunting for a good forecast. Bring in meteorologist Dave Sweeney for a preview.
We have a decent one, actually. We're going to turn off the snow machine, turn on a little clear skies, drop the temperatures a bit, then bring the snow right back in tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, and Jeff Phelps, are you still ripping on my Buckeyes?
I don't have to. They did a nice job all by themselves tonight, Denise. Cavaliers, though, playing their very last game before the All-Star break. It was in Boston, a place they've always had a tough time, and your Buckeyes having a tough time everywhere, Denise. So
you're just cruel,
it didn't really matter.
Cruel
it's all right.
and
I'll
unusual
catch you up in the break. It's
there you
all right.
go.
Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
What happens when the head of an Institute of Higher Learning says something in hindsight he admits as being ignorant?
Hundreds of students take to this national outlet to cry foul. The story is coming up next.
And Lake Erie almost claims another vessel. 19 News at 11 continues after this.
When you're ready to buy a new TV, VCR, or camcorder, shop Sun for the biggest selection at the certified lowest prices every day. like this VHS video player with remote control for only $117, or this Sharp remote VCR with on-screen programming just $157, and this Magnavox camcorder with autofocus and power zoom lens for only $437. Your savings center for TVs, appliances, computers, and more is Sun, where you know you pay less.
Although this BMW is a highly affordable 325i, it is available with highly advanced all-season traction. A feature you can have on BMWs of all sizes, from the 325i to the 8 Series, to help you slip away without slipping.
Visit your nearest BMW dealer for these special lease rates.
At Chi-Chi's, you don't just get any combo, you get ultimate combos. A cheese enchilada, a chicken burrito, a beef taco, and fried ice cream, all for just $7.99. Chi-Chi's, come taste the new Mex. What's for lunch at Chi-Chi's? Anything you want. Everything you want. Now, all you can eat. Just $4.99. Chi-Chi's Mexifest Buffet. For lunch.
This is something that's been building up for the past several, days and everything.
And now students at Rutgers are calling for the resignation of the university president. Rutgers University remains in a state of unrest this evening on the heels of remarks made by its president, Francis Lawrence.
Some call him racists. Others say that he merely misspoke.
Today, another protest rally at Rutgers. The furor far from dying down. This after last night's sit-in during a basketball game at UMass.
And as you said, this does not come as a surprise. The entire athletic department was aware of the possibility of this.
The game had to be canceled, and these were the comments that started it all.
The average SATs for African Americans is 750. Do we set standards in the future so that we don't admit anybody with a national test? Or do we deal with a disadvantaged population that doesn't have that genetic, hereditary background to have a higher average?
That statement was delivered by Rutgers University President Francis Lawrence to faculty last November. He was questioning what role standardized tests should play in college admissions. The comment was made public last week. Lawrence quickly apologized, saying he was merely criticizing the SAT. The student body is nonetheless furious at his use of the term, quote, genetic hereditary background.
And I believe that Lawrence can't just let out an apology and, oh, well, I just slipped and expect that it's going to be brushed over. I mean, if it was a black university professor making a statement against white professors or white people in general, or somebody making a statement against Jewish people and then trying to retract that statement with an apology, I know that there would be, that couldn't be allowed to happen.
Lawrence's record as a supporter of minority students at Tulane and Rutgers is said to be strong. Though faculty and alumni still support him, that record may be in jeopardy.
Lawrence reportedly has recanted, saying that he doesn't believe that there is actually a difference in genetics and heredity among different races.
After almost 3 years without commuter train service, you can only imagine what the phrase "all aboard" meant to the folks in Sarajevo. But today's reopening of the city's central train station meant more than just riding the rails. This marks an attempt of returning to peace in that war-torn country. Operation United Shield is wrapping up its attempt at peace in Somalia. U.S. and Italian soldiers arrived in Mogadishu to retrieve the last of the United Nations troops. 4 U.S. Navy ships and 14 others from 5 nations will take part in this evacuation process.
And speaking of water rescues, the crew members of the Coast Guard cutter Bristol Bay had their work apparently cut out for them.
They have spent the last 2 days here in Cleveland trying to rescue a stranded tugboat. As 19 News reporter Wally Griffith shows us, it brings a new meaning to the phrase, breaking the ice.
Sally, the rudder, you're turning the rudder back and forth from right to left so that you're rolling the ship through the ice.
Lieutenant Brian Bender sounds like he's describing some kind of dance, and in a nautical sense, he is. It's the frigid, icy ballet the Coast Guard cutter Bristol Bay engaged in yesterday and this morning. Its mission, to free the icebound tugboat Mary E. Hanna, stuck dead in the water with a barge filled with diesel fuel.
We try to treat it very carefully because it's sort of a nerve-wracking experience.
There are different kinds of ice that icebreakers have to deal with. What you're looking at right here is plate ice. It's like a great big sheet, and it's not that tough to get through. You can see the track where the vessel came through. But the ice that trapped the Mary E. Hannah was called brash ice, and that's a bigger problem. Brash ice is the frozen remains of other ice. It's hard to break, and it's thick, as much as 5 feet around the Mary Hannah. And the weather didn't help.
And we were just a couple hundred yards off the entrance, and we'd lost all visibility. The entrance lights were obscured. We couldn't see Terminal Tower. None of the skyline was visible. So at that point, the captain just decided that it was time to stop for the evening.
12 hours and dozens of cups of coffee later, the Bristol Bay finally smashed the Hannah free. Then it was time to fill out the inevitable paperwork and enjoy a well-deserved dinner.
Having bratwurst, grilled potato salad, sauerkraut on a bun. Sounds good. And ice cream for dessert.
They say nothing goes with ice breaking like hot food. In Cleveland, Wally Griffith, 19 News.
The Bristol Bay will return to Detroit probably tomorrow. And by the way, the Coast Guard has an icebreaker based here in Cleveland, of course, the Nia Bay, but it's undergoing some routine maintenance.
And speaking of maintenance, everybody, everywhere, I think, wants to make their community better.
But repairing our communities takes more than pure desire. It takes cold, hard cash.
And it looks like some local police departments are going to get a little bit of both. That story when we come back.
Hurry in for big savings on the latest home computers at Circuit City's Computer Sale. Save on Apple, IBM, Compaq, Packard Bell, AST, and more. Like this Packard Bell multimedia computer with Pentium processor and monitor, just $1799.94, including a software package valued at $950. And get an unbeatable price on this compact sub-notebook computer for just $999.97. It's Circuit City's Computer Sale. The right prices right now.
You are one step ahead of everyone.
The check's in the mail.
Because you got caller ID from Ameritech.
Sorry, Steve, I can't talk. I'm busy.
You know who's calling before you pick up.
Gotta call you back, Mike. The dog just got loose.
Call 1-800-AROUND-YOU now and get free installation and a 60-day free trial of a display unit. With caller ID, you have a tip-off.
Sue, what's up?
Ameritech, your link to better communication.
Doc, I'm really worried about my fat intake. How can I lower my cholesterol level? I don't know.
If only kids cared about what they ate as much as you do. Well, they don't. That's why there's Lightly 97 hot dogs from Hormel, with only 1 gram of fat and 1 great taste. So, until kids care about what they eat.
Well, I gotta do something about this root beer belly.
Lightly 97 from Hormel, the one to serve.
There's a new commander in charge tonight at the Cleveland Police Department. 15-year veteran Sergeant Mary Bounds was officially sworn in today as head of the Community Policing Section. It's going to be her job to carry out Mayor Michael White's goal of making the department more responsive to the community.
We know that the police alone does not work. We're not deterring or stopping the crime. We want the community to work with us to be able to slow the bad guys down.
And meanwhile, smaller communities that surround Cleveland are soon going to be getting more policemen and women, thanks to federal funds. Denise is in the production center with Gretchen Carlson to tell us all about it.
That's right, Emmett. The extra cash to pay for cops is all part of President Clinton's crime bill. And Gretchen, I understand police officers you spoke with today are certainly glad to have the additional help.
Well, they're very happy because many small cities in this area are experiencing a shortage of police officers right now. Well, at the same time, they're trying to fight very serious crime. So although these federal funds will only add 1 or 2 police officers to each force, they say they'll take every bit they can get. Officer John Cermak is one of 30 cops patrolling the streets in Garfield Heights. Tonight, we joined him on a ride to check out his beat.
We have a lot of accidents, a lot of domestic disputes.
It ended up being a relatively quiet night, other than the arrest of a suspect apparently driving with a suspended license. But Cermak says his town has its share of serious crime, too. In the past 5 months, it's the kind of crime that's taken the lives of 3 Garfield Heights officers. One shot dead at an apartment complex in August. 2 others killed during a high-speed chase in December. Federal funds to pay for 2 more officers couldn't have come at a better time. Cermak hopes it will help make up for the loss.
Any little bit will help us right now at this point in time.
Other small cities surrounding Cleveland will also benefit. East Cleveland, where the force is already 20 cops short, will get 2 more cops too. But with drug busts like this one happening all too frequently there, Chief Mitchell Guyton worries 2 more officers won't be enough to keep all his cops safe.
I know I do at night think about I won't be awakened by a phone call that says something has tragically happened to one of our officers. I think about that every night.
So for now, these small cities will have to make do with the number of officers they can afford and hope the eventual addition of more cops will help put more criminals behind bars. Now, the cities aren't yet sure when they will actually receive these funds from Washington, but Denise, you can be sure that when Washington gives the okay, they will be putting more cops on the streets.
Definitely, and a step in the right direction.
Exactly.
A little help is better than none.
Exactly.
Thanks, Gretchen. Emmett, back to you.
All right, thanks, Denise and Gretchen. There's a saying, if you don't like the weather, stick around, it'll change. Meteorologist Dave Sweeney is going to tell us if that saying holds true. Coming up.
They take their teen sons to strip clubs.
I started taking Ruben out to the topless clubs at the age of 14.
Whether their mothers like it or not.
I wear the pants here, and what I say goes.
But what else are they teaching their sons?
You did say women are good for 3 things, and what are those 3 things?
Cooking, cleaning, and in the bedroom.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Let me tell you something, all girls are good for is sex, and that's it.
Watch Jenny Jones.
Thursday at 5 on 19.
Lynn is working to save you money.
People shop here for the aisles and aisles of values.
Sure, love those snack and soda power prices.
There's more.
Oh, health and beauty products are power price too.
And there's still more.
Really?
Look, all our detergents, soaps, and household cleaning aids are power price too.
Are they as low price as the discount stores?
Absolutely.
That's convenient.
Exactly. You don't have to make an extra trip. Because at Finest, we're the people who save you money.
Kids have a very special relationship with Dodge Caravan. You see, they are the #1 passengers in America's #1 selling minivan, which is why Caravan has always pioneered the kind of features that help ensure that every child gets from here to there as safely as possible. And now with $500 cash back on select Caravans, we're going to make Dodge Caravan America's #1 kids ride at your house.
If you have been injured by medical negligence, you need the help of lawyers and doctors. I am Daniel Finelli of the law firm of Muska and Moralia, and I am both a lawyer and a doctor. The lawyers I'm associated with have over 100 years of combined experience in helping injury victims, and you are entitled to be fully compensated for your injury.
For a free consultation, call Muska and Moralia, 696-7777.
Emmett, you gotta be a kid, or at least a kid at heart, to really enjoy this stuff. Not a care in the world, except, well, maybe in how to make the perfect belly flop. The perfect snowman. Huh?
Darn, oh darn. With Dave Sweeney in the Weather Center, and let me tell you, Mr. Meteorologist, man, yes? I'm a grown-up, and I have trouble getting the key in the door, and I slip on the ice, and I gotta shovel the darn stuff, too.
Move to Miami. See, that's the easiest thing, then you don't have to deal with any of this.
I'm staying here.
Yes, of course. Now, you know, we had a big snow squall last night, a little light snow today. Good news for tomorrow morning, afternoon, then it comes back again. We just seem to do this round robin. Let's take a look at some videotape from earlier today, and
It was a little tough going there on some of the roads, especially through Cuyahoga County. Last night, we showed you a NEXRAD Doppler radar imagery out of the Weather Service that had a very powerful band of snow moving through central Cuyahoga.
that dumped 3 to 4, 5 inches in that narrow band. That's not the case tonight. Snows are dissipating. Temperatures, 8 below to start the day, 20 for a high, 33 is average, so we're 13 below where we should be for this time of year. Temperatures outside right now, 17 degrees under cloudy skies. The snow's starting to wane. 8 below, the wind chill winds gusting. Look at that, winds at 20 miles per hour. Temperatures around the region. Look at the difference from where the clouds are to where the clouds aren't. On our regional temperature map, Cincinnati, Ohio, temperature right now is 5 degrees. Trust me, it's 5 degrees. In Dayton, it's 7. But we move into the clouds and temperatures start to warm up a bit. Now we add radar, and in 3 dimensions you can visualize where the radar echoes are and indeed the snow falling out of them. We can also put them into motion and show you where the snow has been falling the last 6 hours or so and where it hasn't been falling, and that's in most of the state of Ohio. But right in northeastern Ohio, a little bit of light snow falling there. Now, we'll take you to Doppler radar and show you what's going on right now. The very latest image, a little snow out in the middle of the lake. This is generally clear air returns around the radar site itself. Just a little bit of light snow in Lake County, a little bit in Geauga. In fact, in the old radars, in the light blues, you wouldn't even see that. But there's a little bit of light snow, nothing like last night, so you drive home. If you have to drive home, it'll be a little better. Now, let's go back to the maps and show you on the computer what's going on, and we'll take you up top and visualize the satellite in all of this and where we are, and what's coming our way is this next system. Now, what I'm going to do is fly you down to ground level, hover over West Virginia, and then fly from Cleveland all the way out to the eastern side of the Dakotas. Down we go, and we'll show you the little light snow bands coming off the lake, but not much going on there. Now, notice on our second leg, when we fly under these clouds, watch the lack